free, looking out for better days. Just call it a raise, I'm hoping to rise. Love on my black sisters, let's collab, not collide. While our people provide, light skin, dark skin, but we all on the same side. Come together on the same time, dark and lovely. Yeah, I love mine, beautiful we are, huh? Queens we are, I must admit, and we will go far. Don't ever forget, yeah, I must admit, black queens we are.
Dark and lovely I am, the color of beautiful, beautiful, wonderfully made, the color of beautiful, beautiful, God made me beautiful.
It is the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. Once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Muhammad Ali. I am in charge of my life. I am improving my life by eliminating the drama within it. I let go of everything and everyone that impedes my progress in life. I do not entertain negative thoughts, feelings, or conversations. I choose to be happy today. I am continually aligned with my higher purpose. I am strong.
Welcome back. We are honored to be here with Dr. Shauli, who is joining us from India. Welcome, Dr. Shauli.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here on this platform today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And so if you would just tell our audience a little bit about you, your work, and what you're doing there in India.
Sure. So, this is Dr. Shauli Mukherjee from India. I am a passionate academician, a global thought leader, and an internationally acclaimed inspirational speaker. Somebody who has been working in the education sector for the past 23 years now. So, in my long journey of 23 years, I have been the principal as well as the founder principal of some of the reputed international schools in West Bengal. A few of the schools have actually been established by me. To name a few, I would definitely like to name Adamus World School and STEM World School. Why STEM World School? Because STEM World School happens to be the first STEM school in West Bengal, India, which was eventually awarded for being the second best international day school in the entire West Bengal region of India by Education World 2016. So that happens to be my brainchild as well. So, after spending more than 2 decades in the field of educational leadership, rather than I would say school leadership and school management, very recently I have stepped into the domain of higher education, where currently I am the director of School of Education at one of the reputed private universities of Eastern India. Additionally, I'm associated with premier educational organizations across India as well as globally in senior advisory position. And I would also like to state that I have been awarded as one of the 50 most influential educational leaders of India and 20 most revolutionary educational leaders. And very recently, I have also been awarded and recognized as, being among 99 women achievers of India for the year 2021. So, in short, this is something that I do.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, that is really amazing. And so with all of that experience and being able to do all of that, what would you say is really what is your motivation behind being a leader in education?
Well, it all started around 23 years back, though I would say that I actually always wanted to be in the sphere of education. So I was, when I was very small, I was a child, I always wanted to become a teacher, like the other children as well. But then when I grew up and I started feeling a lot of things, I really wanted to create a lot of difference in the world, which I felt at that point of time could be done through the ennobling part of education. So, to bring about a real change, to bring about a real transformation, to bring about a real difference in the people's lives. But having said so, when my journey started 23 years back as an educator in a very, very reputed international school in West Bengal, India, well, I started my journey with a lot of dreams and aspirations, but as I entered into the system, slowly and gradually, I started, feeling, I would say, frustrated because the way in which education was delivered to the children. So, why? Because I started feeling that our histories have changed, our geographies have changed, but sadly enough and unfortunately, our education system has not changed. So, our education system still remains an essential byproduct of the 19th century industrial revolution, which still promotes a one size fits all educational structure, which still views its young learners as finished products of such a redundant and such a very rigid and conservative educational ecosystem, but still views the young learners as completely devoid of their own personal inclinations, interests, talents, and passion. So it even denies the basic fact that each and every child is born as a unique being with a unique blueprint, with an ability to create a unique world of difference around him or her. So, our conventional, the more I was there into the system, the more I started seeing around me that our conventional educational norms, they force our young children to metaphorically draw and color within the lines. And they are applauded for doing the same. That is how we train our children right from childhood. But we have to understand that when we do this to our children, we are actually acknowledging and we are actually training them to comply and to conform and not to create or to innovate. And yet, in various forums, as progressive and empowered educators, we speak that we need a generation of creative problem solvers. I mean, how is that possible? How
Yes.
can you raise a generation of creative beings when you are actually curbing their creativity and their spirit to innovate right from their childhood? So, to be very frank, I started, becoming frustrated with the education, with the current education system. And that sort of, provided a kind of a trigger, you know, in me that I have to do something completely different. I have to, in my own little ways, whatever I can do, but I have to do something which will be different. Ultimately, that led, after many years though, that led to the creation of STEM World School, which happens to be the first STEM school in West Bengal, a school created with a completely different vision, a school where there are absolutely no standardized tests, there are no standardized curriculum, a school which is completely based on experiential and activity oriented teaching learning methodology, a kind of a school which provides a completely stress free, learning atmosphere,
Right.
a school where the happiness quotient and the passion quotient of the children are quite high. So now, when I look back in retrospect, I feel good about it. That in my own little and small ways, at least I could bring about some kind of difference, some kind of change. And till date, Karen, I have been working towards this mission of bringing about a real transformation in our current education system, which I believe is imperative and is the need of the hour.
Well, I'm going to say, Dr. Charlie, I don't think you did it in a little way. It sounds to me like you did it in a really, really, really big way. That is phenomenal. So I'm going to ask you now, what have been some of your experiences with colorism?
Yes. So, Karen, I would just like to share a very, it's a very personal experience. So, I have my elder sister who is just 3 years, elder to me. And she's very dear to me. We are best of the friends. Now, she happens to have a very dark skin. She's dark skinned. She's very beautiful. She's very beautiful. She happens to have a dark skin, and you know, uh, somehow I happen to have a lighter skin. So, my childhood memories regarding the fact that whenever both of us used to go out, or whenever both of us used to go to a public gathering or to any kind of functions or any kind of social gatherings or things like that. So there was some cliched kind of remarks and comments which were thrown onto both of us. you know so people used to say that, who is she? So she's my sister. She's my elder sister. No, no, it can't be. I mean, it can't be. I mean, she cannot be your sister. How can she be your sister? I mean, she's so, she has a dark skin. She's a black, and you look completely different. No, 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 it can't be.
Right.
So this is exactly how, I mean, the way in which I'm telling you right now, this was how those comments were hurled onto us. So I being on the receiving end, I, somehow having a lighter skin, it was as embarrassing to me as it was embarrassing to my sister. So I
Yes.
used to feel terrible. I used to feel terrible, and when I was a little child, even though I didn't understand a lot of implications, even then I used to, react to those kind of comments. And I used to say, no, you cannot say all these things to my sister. They had that kind of a possessiveness without understanding the implications of colorism at that point of time. But then when I eventually grew up, the comments were not like this. The comments were not as direct as this, but they started becoming subtle, you know.
Hmm.
But I could feel, Karen, that the pain, you know,
Yeah.
and it was the same. The feeling was the same, and and those memories are still so fresh in my mind. And I feel, and I really, I sort of started feeling that maybe I'm
Mm.
guilty because I have a lighter skin, and maybe it's because of me that people are making her feel embarrassed in front of me. So I started feeling guilty about the entire thing for no fault of mine. So these are some of the memories which I have, since childhood, and which are still very fresh in my mind. I really hope it doesn't happen to anyone.
Right. So, can you talk to us a little bit about colorism in India? Now, here in the US, it was it was a product of slavery. And
Hmm.
so, it was the idea of division among the African slaves so that you it was something else that was it was another form, like I say, of division to divide us. What happened here, the lighter skinned slaves were what they called the house slaves, and the darker skinned slaves were the field slaves, and they made that distinction. So colorism has kind of followed us since slavery. How has it been for India?
Well, in India, the case is a bit, I don't know if I can say that it's a mix of a lot of things. So, uh, if you happen to see the matrimonial classifieds that come out in the newspapers almost every day, wanting brides for the prospective bridegrooms, almost in each and every classifieds, you will find this common phrase that brides wanted who would be slim, who would be beautiful, and who would be fair. So these are the three characteristics that are asked for. I mean, I have been seeing this, I don't know, maybe for 20, 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
And sadly enough, I can tell you that it has not changed. Still, people are looking for brides who would be slim, beautiful, and fair. Now, when I say slim, beautiful, and fair, you can jolly well understand that being fair is actually equated with the concept of beauty. So, if you're fair, you're beautiful. So, if you're not fair, you're not beautiful. It's as simple as that. Having said so, in India, it is very, very apparent that this colorism, which is actually a discrimination based on the color of skin, this impacts more women and girls rather than, I would say, men. So this is also a part of gender discrimination as well. So it has a very, very strong, I would say, gender bias. And very unfortunately, I would just like to share that it all, I don't know how, but it all starts from your immediate family since your childhood. Often it also starts with your parents. It can be your mother as well. It can be your own mother who is actually failing to accept you because you are dark skinned.
Wow.
It can even be your father. And if your parents happen to be quite open and liberal minded, and well, it may not be your parents, but then it can be your grandparents. And in India, we sort of live in joint families, though nuclear families, we have nuclear families now, but mostly it had been a culture that we used to live in joint families. It used to be an extended family where we all live under the same roof. So it used to be the grandparents, or if it's not the grandparents, then it would be some of your relatives who belong to your extended family.
Right.
And those comments were not subtle. The comments are very, very harsh. And can you imagine those comments being directed to a child who hardly understands anything about the concept of colorism? Again, coming back to the concept of marriage, why I'm saying marriage, why I'm referring to marriage often, or the matrimonial classifieds, because in India, despite getting a lot of education, despite getting a lot of advancement in your career, it's still considered, marriage is still considered the most viable option for
Wow.
women. So you can be, you know, educated, you can be somebody who is doing great in your professional field, but if you're not getting married at a so-called proper age, so there's a lot of stigma attached to it. So since marriage is considered with such a great importance, if you have to be marriageable, you need to have a fair skin. So if you have a dark skin, well, yes, definitely you will be married. But thing is, the process of marriage will be quite complicated for you. It can be quite difficult for you as well. Also, I would like to state that dark skinned girls or women, often their parents have to pay or used to pay a huge amount of money as dowry. Why? Because their girls or their daughters had dark skin. So it was very much there in India. But
Right.
then why did I say right at the very beginning that it's a mix of a lot of things? Because, uh, you know, uh, just see the irony here, because in India, people are generally very religious in nature. We worship deities, we worship gods and goddesses. And the most popular god, not only in India, but I think internationally, is Lord Krishna, whom we worship, whom we worship like anything. And Lord Krishna happens to have a dark skin.
Oh, wow.
So we worship Lord Krishna, okay, having a dark skin, right? But when
Right.
it comes to our daughters, or when it comes to our maybe daughter-in-laws, then we are very rigid. We can't accept. So this
Wow.
is the irony.
Wow. That's very interesting. Thank you so much for that. I think that that is certainly going to be of great education and information for our audience. Thank you so much for that. And we'll be right back with Dr. Charlie.
Lights, camera, action. Join filmmaker, producer, writer, director, Dr. Karen D. Moore as she presents Who Told You Your Black is Not Beautiful? They better look again. You tell 'em, girl.
I am a woman, brown skinned woman, a deeply melanated chocolate girl. Now, that may not mean much to you unless you've walked in brown skin. See, historically, brown skinned women weren't considered beautiful, an attempt to bring shame on a race of beautiful people. Some of that race of beautiful people grabbed hold of the lie. Some of us that walk in brown skin started to believe the lie. If you weren't light-skinned or fair, you weren't beautiful. Deep, rich mahogany, mocha chocolate brown just isn't beautiful. Lightening creams and whitening creams. Back in the day, a trip to the makeup counter. I'm sorry, we don't have your shade. That was before the cosmetic companies began to realize there's green in brown. God, why did you make me so brown? Brown skin blues, I walked in it, wallowed in it, got down deep and swallowed it as mine. Wished I was lighter, prayed I was lighter. Maybe this is a dream. And I really am lighter.
Dark and lovely I am, the color of beautiful, beautiful, wonderfully made, the color of beautiful, beautiful. God made me beautiful.
Experience the film that sparked an international conversation. Who Told You Your Black is Not Beautiful? Presented by the Color of Beautiful Media and Entertainment Group. To book your experience, visit thecolorofbeautiful.black. That's the COLOUR of beautiful.black. After all, who told you your black is not beautiful?
Welcome back. We are back with Dr. Charlie having an amazing conversation with this beautiful, phenomenal woman who is joining us from India. So tell me, Dr. Charlie, how do you feel about your own skin color?
Despite having a light skin or a dark skin, it really doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm not saying this because coincidentally I have a fair skin, or I am I have a light skin. I'm not saying because of that. But I can just tell you one thing, that however I am or whatever I am, I'm quite comfortable the way I am. So it's not only about my skin tone, it's not only about my complexion, it has got more to do with what I am within. So as a person, I am a deeply, what should I say? I'm a connected human being, deeply connected to the source and extremely spiritually inclined, not religious, but spiritually inclined. So, the spiritually inclined person, I give more importance to what I am within than what I am without. So, it doesn't matter to me, Karen, whether I have a fair skin or I have a dark skin. But having said so, I'm extremely sensitive towards the fact that even now, in this 21st century,
Yes.
world, people are discriminated on the basis of their skin color. I mean, this speaks about lack of true and real education. I mean, we call ourselves educated. How can we even call ourselves educated when we still discriminate people on the basis of their skin color, which is
Right.
so very extrinsic, so which is so very superfluous and external to us? It has got nothing to do with who we are in reality.
That's right. That is so true. And I think that the quicker we get to really realize and understand that, the better off we will be as people, as countries, as the world. So let me ask you, what role do you feel colorism plays in education and schooling?
In fact, a very, very important role. So, well, before I tell you something about maybe formal education or formal schooling, I would like to start right from the childhood. Now, as educators, we all know that 0 to 7 years in the life of a child is extremely important
Yes.
in terms of, neuroscience has proved that the brain grows at an enormous pace during this 0 to 7 years, and especially between 0 to 3 years, which is so very crucial. So it has been proved that during this particular stage, a child's brain is in a theta stage. That is the kind of a stage to which we normally aspire to reach as adults when we, sort of do meditation and things like that. So, automatically a child is in that particular stage from 0 to 7 years. That's a good news. Now,
Mhm.
the bad news is, as parents and as educators, we are not mindful about the kind of things that we keep telling a child during these crucial years without even understanding the implication that whatever we tell a child during that particular stage will have a lasting physical as well as an emotional impact on the child throughout his or her life. Because it is that particular stage where that subconscious downloading continuously happens. So we are actually not mindful about what we are actually commenting or what we are telling. So now these kind of discriminations, whether it's based on color, or it is based on gender, or it is based on some other category, all these discriminations, they don't happen when you are an adult. It happens when you are a child, since your childhood. So just imagine the kind of impact, the lifelong impact that that particular person will be having all throughout his or her life.
Right.
If this has happened to you or to me when we had been a child. So education starts from your home. Education starts from your family. Education starts from emulating, uh, you know, everything that you see around you, even before you start going to a school. So even this is also education, right? So if your education is based on the concept of discrimination, based on the concept of hurling comments and remarks based on your skin color, which starts quite early, it's going to have a disastrous effect. Now, let's come to the schooling part. We all know that, uh, as mothers or even as adults or even as teachers, we always say that it's such a good habit of, reading out the fairy tales to our children. So read out the fairy tales to your child, and that's such a good habit. Now, Karen, just think about this. The kind of fairy tales that we normally have, I mean, the popular fairy tales. So just think about it. They have the characters as protagonists. I mean, I'm talking about the female protagonists.
Right.
So the fairy tales project a female protagonist who is beautiful, who is good, who is fair,
Mm.
and at the same time completely helpless and waiting for a handsome prince to come and save her and rescue her, right? So
Right.
that is a very common thing that we find in the fairy tale. And the so called villainous characters, as women, happen to be the ones who are actually very intelligent and very ambitious,
Yes.
right? So now just think about it, Karen. Almost in all the fairy tales, you will be finding this kind of a paradigm. Now, through this fairy tales, what are we actually telling our daughters and sons?
Mm.
Are we telling them that in order to be good, well, you have to be, fair and beautiful, but helpless? Or if you are intelligent or ambitious in your life, well, you will be construed as somebody who is a villainous character. So, are we sort of giving these messages to our sons and daughters since childhood? I think it's time for all of us to reflect on this. Secondly, in almost all the popular children's literature, you will find that all good characters, so called, good characters,
Right.
though there is nothing like good or bad, it's a mix. We all know that's a mix of gray shades in each and every one of the characters. But the so called good characters are all with fair skins. And the monsters, the demons, and all the evil characters are actually black in
Right.
color. That is also found in the popular children's literature. Now you come to literature in general. Forget about children's literature. You come to literature in general, where there is a very, very common symbolism which is found in poetry, or it's found in even novels and prose, in literature in general, where we use this common symbolism of equating black with everything that is evil,
Right.
right?
Right.
Black is a color of mourning, it's a color of evil, and white signifies everything that is beautiful, everything that is peaceful, and it signifies goodness. So now this is not typical of a particular nation. This is a global issue. We find it everywhere,
Everywhere.
right?
Yes.
So now this is so very much a crucial part of our education. Also, I would just additionally like to state, since I strongly, believe that colorism is something which affects women and girls more than men. Uh, you know, in fact, in India it is so. So I would just like to additionally, make a comment here that since childhood, all of us, as girls and young girls rather, we are all trained to become good daughters, good sisters, good mothers, and good wives. But we are not trained to accept the way we are in reality. We
Mm.
are not trained to love ourselves and accept ourselves the way we are. We are not trained to understand the importance of loving and accepting ourselves completely, wholly, and placing ourselves first. So we are trained to be of worth to others, especially to the male members. Nowhere are we trained either through our culture or through our elders or through our society, that it is so very important and vital to take care of yourself first, to love yourself first, to consider yourself as the most important person first. Unless you do that, you will never be of any help or worth to others. So
Right.
we are not trained in that manner. And it's not, again, an issue that is there in India. It's a global issue, again.
Yes.
So I think, Karen, I strongly feel as a woman leader, not as an educator, as a woman leader, I strongly feel that it's time where our education system should change for young girls and women. We have to educate them in a manner where they gain enough confidence and courage to accept the way they are, and not to base each and everything on the external validation. The problem is, we women, we always try to view ourselves based on the perceptions that others have about us.
Right.
And as long as you continue, I mean, you can start this, but where will this end? It will never end, because it's all about somebody else's perception and conception about you. What about your perception about yourself? Which is so very important. So I feel that, as young girls and women, we need to embrace our imperfections and flaws.
Hmm.
And we need to wear them as badges. We have to be very proud of our imperfections and our
Yes.
flaws. And we need to wear them as badges. We need to have that courage. And we have to set a completely new definition and new paradigm for beauty, where beauty will be based on rawness, our vulnerability,
Yes.
our imperfections, our courage, and most importantly, our authenticity. So if you are authentic, you are beautiful. If you're courageous, you are beautiful. Well,
Yes.
if you're imperfect and vulnerable, you're still beautiful. So
Right.
time has come when we have to redefine beauty. We have to redefine what does it mean to be, beautiful in the true sense of the term. Again, since you've asked me a question pertaining to education, I would just like to close by saying that our education system teaches us everything that is external to us. We learn a lot of physics and chemistry, a
Hmm.
lot of geography. We know about the volcanoes, we know about the natural landscape, we know about everything that is external to us. But our education system does not educate us on the inner world that we have. It doesn't educate us about our soul. It doesn't educate us about the beautiful inner world, which is a treasure for each one of us. So, our education system is focused on the extrinsic and the external, and never on the internal world that we, possess.
Right. Wow. That was powerful. That was really powerful. We're going to be right back with Dr. Shauli.
Wonderful it made the color of beautiful, beautiful. God made me beautiful. Yeah, I am so beautiful. I am so beautiful. When you look at me,
dark and lovely with a glowy skin. Definitely you are credit to the whole black race. What a strong black woman with a
Welcome back. We are here having an amazing conversation with the phenomenal Dr. Shauli. And before we went to break, we were talking about education and about colorism. What I'd like to ask you is you have built a STEM school. So, how has that been getting girls involved in STEM? And also, how do you address some of those other issues we were talking about? Education, talking about the external and dealing with the external. But is there anything in your program that help girls in particularly deal with the things they may be going through as girls and being able to be girls in STEM?
Thank you so much for asking me this question, Karen. Because again, there is a lot of stigma attached to, what girls and women can do in the field of education.
Yes.
So there is a common kind of a conception that the girls, they do better when they study arts or humanities, and they fare extremely, bad when they go into the fields of science, technology, engineering, and maths. These are the disciplines which are not meant for girls and women. They cannot do it well. The boys are meant for that. So this is a very, very popular exception. And again, I would just like to state that it is not something which when you are an adult. It starts again from your childhood. It
Right.
starts from that particular day, uh, maybe after when you are born, your mother segregates you on the basis of a color, in the sense that the boys are given the color blue and the girls are given the color pink. So it starts from that very day. So
Mm,
already you have started being segregated on the basis of two different colors
right.
since childhood. It continues when you are a very young girl and you have your birthday, and then your mother or your father says that, okay, fine, so since she's a girl, so I'm sure that she would be so happy if I gift her a doll to play with, and if it happens to be a boy, then I'm sure I have to gift him a gun or a toy car. I'm sure you can understand the implication of what I'm suggesting. So it
Yes.
starts from the day when you're born, it continues when you are a very young child, and then when it comes to education, in choosing your sort of disciplines, you find educators who are equally biased about the same thing. They also have the same kind of stigma. Okay, so they sort of make you feel that you will do much better in your life, in your professional career, if you happen to be a girl, and if you actually take the disciplines such as, you can be a great musician, you can be a great dancer, you can do well in performing arts, you can do well if you take up humanities, you know you can go and you can study history, geography, literature. But well, if it's math, science, technology, and engineering, well, I don't think that you can do that well. So, this is a kind of a thing which continues. But there has been no, you just tell me, what kind of evidence can you give me based on research and findings?
Right.
Based on scientific explanation, that a girl's brain is not equipped to handle the disciplines such as science and maths. Can you give me an evidence based on research? No, you can't, because it doesn't exist.
Right.
So it exists only in your narrow mindset,
Yes. Exactly.
and it's still, this is not where it stops, Karen. It continues, and I'm telling you from my own lens and from my own perspective, being a woman leader myself, still, when I happen to be in a boardroom for a meeting, unfortunately, I'm telling you, I am the only woman who is seated at the table with all the other gentlemen. I feel bad about it. I really feel bad about it. That
Yes.
women are so very, they are represented less when it comes to the top tier of leadership, you know. So
Right.
things have to change right from childhood if you really have to see the change there. So it's a continuous chain, and that needs to be broken if you really have to see remarkable and visible change.
Wow. That's really amazing. And I really, really applaud you for taking that stand and wanting to see that happen for girls and for women. And I think so often, like you said, there's this idea of what we can't do instead of opening up and finding out, even just exploring and finding out what we can do instead of being so involved in, okay, well, girls can't do this and girls can't do this. Well, how do you know? Like you said, there's no evidence that our brains are any different than a man's brain. So why can't we be exposed to that? And I think I'm just so glad that you said that and that you are working to make sure that girls have all of those opportunities and can be in those boardrooms, and you're not the only one. That is truly amazing, and that's going to change the face of what we see nationally, internationally, all across the world, all across the globe, that we're going to begin to see women in these places, and that you, Dr. Charlie, are a force to be reckoned with. You are. So tell me, how do you feel language around color and skin tone can be changed to reflect more positive values?
I think it has a very big importance. I mean, language definitely. The kind of words that you speak. Or even sometimes, just let me tell you, it's not always verbal. It can also be non-verbal.
Yes.
You know, asks me about a question pertaining to education just a while back, that how colorism creeps in the field of education as well. So there are so many instances of microaggression being done by the teachers, wherein you will not feel that they are being aggressive, but
Mm,
let me just give you a simple example. When a teacher, uh, say for instance, it's a first grade or a second grade classroom, and when a teacher tells the child who happens to have a very dark skin, maybe,
mhm.
so if the teacher tells that particular child, oh, so you also can speak so well, you are so articulate, don't take it as a compliment. What the teacher is trying to say, that even having a dark skin, you can still be so articulate. So these are the instances of microaggression
Yes.
which a teacher does, which is not that much, uh, you know, loud or visible, I would say, but to sensitive people like us, we understand that this is not something that should happen. But these are the things which are happening on a daily basis. Just consider the impact, the adverse impact that it's having on the child's psyche, it's having on the child's mind. It's not going to go away. It's going to stay with him or her for the rest of the part of his or her life.
Right.
So, what kind of damage are we doing when we are speaking these kinds of words? So, you're telling me about language. So, we have to be very, very mindful about what we are actually telling our children, even as parents. Even as parents, we cannot get away from this entire thing by just giving an excuse that, well, I'm the mother, I do have the right to sometimes, jokingly, to tell my child that, you cannot do anything big in life. You're such a dumb person, nothing can happen in your life. I mean, come on, I love my child. As a mother, it's a jokingly I said, no, you can't.
No, you
You
can't.
can't. You can't do that.
No.
And if you're a mother, all the more you need to be more educated and mindful about what you're speaking to your little child. So, language is extremely important, Karen. And I would say, even more than language, even the nonverbal clues that are given to a child pertaining to racism and colorism, that's
Right.
also very, very important. The children, they pick up the signals just like this. Don't make a mistake of thinking that they do not understand. They understand each and everything.
Oh, absolutely. 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 Dr. Charlie, thank you so much for being here with us. We have had just an amazing, amazing experience with you. You are truly a phenomenal woman, and it has been an honor for me to have this opportunity to speak with you. So, if you can tell our audience how we can support you, where we can find you, how we can follow your work, and what we can do to support you in your endeavors.
Well, uh, so just to tell you very briefly that I'm a kind of a person um who has actually made her passion into her profession. So, whatever I'm doing in my life, this is something which I've always wanted to do. I'm a strong believer in the concept of ikigai. That is the purpose of one's being. And that is the reason why I think I wake up every morning and I look forward to contributing, to adding value, and to make significant difference in the lives of many. So I feel that even in my limited sphere of work, whatever I'm doing, even if I'm able to inspire and impact maybe a single mind in a day or two, I
Yes.
think that's a huge return that I get. I'm not looking for any kind of commendations or any kind of financial gains out of this. Though this is my profession as an educator, but I believe that if I fail to inspire, if I fail to touch, if I fail to impact the lives, well, I'm doing something just mechanically, which I can't do. So, I would also like to state that I'm quite active on social media platforms. So, anyone who is willing to reach out to me, anybody who is like minded, I would really welcome the opportunity of getting connected. So, I'm very active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. So, you can definitely get connected with me and we can share our insights and uh, we can explore the possibilities of maybe doing something great in days to come. Why not?
Yes, that's awesome. And we will certainly be keeping in contact with you and just being able to follow you and see the things that you're doing, the amazing things you're doing, because you truly are an inspiration to women and to girls. And I just want to do everything I can for people to see you and to understand that there are women out here who are doing amazing, amazing work and that are leading and being part of the solution, which is so very important for us. And for girls to know that, yes, I can, if Dr. Charlie can do it, I can do it, right? If Dr. Charlie can be phenomenal, I can be phenomenal. So we are so honored again to have had you here, for you taking the time to have this discussion with us. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much, Karen. Absolutely honored and humbled by everything that you have said about me. So I just sincerely pray that I could continue the kind of work that I have been doing. And definitely, I would like to state that you are doing amazing work. And I also follow you on Facebook. And I know the kind of work that you are doing to really bring about a real difference in the lives of a lot of people. So please continue doing the amazing work and the wonderful work that you have been doing, Karen. All my best wishes and all my sincere congratulations on everything that you do to impact lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plan, the new release from a dynamic group, Poetic Soul. Available on Spotify and on the website at music.thepoeticsoulsound.com. Get yours today.
Live life carefree, looking out for better days. Just call it a raise, I'm hoping to rise. Love on my black sisters, let's collab, not collide. While our people provide, light skin, dark skin, but we all on the same side. Come together on the same time, dark and lovely. Yeah, I love mine, beautiful we are, huh? Queens we are, I must admit, and we will go far. Don't ever forget, yeah, I must admit, black queens we are.
Dark and lovely I am, the color of beautiful, beautiful, wonderful it made, the color of beautiful, beautiful, God made me beautiful, I am so when you look at me, what do you see? The color of beautiful.